Hi, I'm Jay Lucas.
And I'm Karen Lucas.
And welcome to the Sunshine Report. You know, I think we got such a terrific topic this week. It's one that makes me really happy. And the subject this week is boundless optimism. And boundless optimism is the idea that you can be sort of thinking about sunshiny, optimistic things, but oftentimes you find yourself bounded or sort of finding constraints. And boundless optimism is to say, let's take off all the constraints. Let's dream really big and be boundless in our great bountiful optimism.
Right. Well, I think also, people do like to dream, right? And in that dreaming, they dream of those really pleasant things that they might like to achieve. And you put those really into place and you say, you know what, we have that ability to dream, but also turn it into reality. And that becomes part of the positive optimism here that we're talking about.
It really does. It links very closely to this idea of aspiration.
Yes.
You have these aspirations, and you can sort of dream and get yourself into the state of pretending that they're happening. And that's what that boundless optimism is. Sometimes you find yourself almost in a dream state.
That's
and you're
true.
Thinking about what possibly might happen. And it's not fantasy.
Right.
There are things that really can happen when you have boundless optimism.
That's where today I think a lot of people also journal to kind of put those thoughts down on paper, and then they go back and they look at that and they go, "Whoa, I was thinking about that." I have to go back into those thoughts about that. I would say positive optimism that we're talking about here.
Well, it is, and it's interesting that you mentioned journaling.
Yeah.
Because I think that has become much more popular. And I was doing something similar to that the other day, and I went back to something I had written. I said, wow, that's actually pretty exciting.
That's what happens, when you do journal, which is why more people probably should do that, because they find such positive things out of that journaling.
It really does do that. And you can kind of let your mind sort of flow. You can take off the constraints and
Yes.
truly be boundless. And, I think the other aspect of where we say these constraints, sometimes society and other people put constraints on you.
True.
Where you believe that they're putting them on you, and you're trying to act sort of conforming in some kind of social way.
Yeah.
When in fact, you probably ought to just be yourself. And in the end, it doesn't really matter that much what other people think.
Right.
Let yourself go for all those optimistic thoughts, and I think people will say, wow, you really did a great job.
Well, it's confidence, right? Be confident in those thoughts. If you're thinking it, you want to achieve that, and you put that positive thought to that thought and create a positive optimism. Right?
Well, I like that. That's a positive way to kind of positive note. And that's kind of how we really do feel here at the Sunshine Report.
Right.
And we love to say that it's positive energy that inspires positive change, that produces positive results. Boundless optimism.
Yes, boundless optimism.
Have a great week,
Think
everybody.
about that.